Wow-wee. Matthew Vaughn. He's sure done it again, hasn't he?
He's made a movie.
He's made a film, and this film is Argylle, 2024. As mentioned at the start of the episode, but we do know a lot of people like to skip past us talking a lot of bollocks. So here it is again. This week we will be doing Argylle, maybe a little bit of Kingsman in there as well, because there's a lot of overlap there. It'd be good to compare them, which will be funny and lighthearted. And then for those film buffs out there, we will be talking about Zone of Interest in a respectful manner that does not include what? Not in that way. A respectful manner that is befitting of the tone of the film. Before we get onto that, before I get ahead of myself, Matt, what was the plot?
Oh God, of Argylle. Who knows? It is about a woman who is an author. She's written a spy thriller series called Argylle, and she's trying to write the ending of the 4th book. Normally her ideas just come to her like this, and then she's like, oh, I'll end this one in a cliffhanger. Her mum's like, that's ridiculous, this is a terrible ending. And she tries to think of an ending, can't think of one. And maybe it's because they're actually real, these suppressed memories.
Ooh.
And so she's on the train, and she meets a guy who is from like a spy agency. So he says, and he has a bit of a scrap, and she's like, oh no, this is real, what? So my writings happen for real? And then the movie happens, and it just won't stop happening, and it just keeps going on. And then they just do a twist, and they do another twist, do another twist, and I don't care. And they keep going, and it's really bad. And that was Argylle.
So first up, let's talk about the big thing surrounding this film. Henry Cavill's haircut, yay or nay?
Yeah. It wasn't good, but it was iconic. It got people talking.
It looks
and that's
like
a good thing.
I get it. It looks like the guy from Street Fighter.
It looks like a cartoon spy, but in like, live action.
If you've seen any army man in a cartoon where it's just like they've taken a razor, electric razor, and just cut the top off of the hair, so it's like dead flat. That's what it's supposed to. I mean,
you do get like flat top hairstyles and stuff like that, but they're never that tall.
They're never that tall, and they're never like you see a figure of Argylle, and it looks a lot better because it's like filled in at the top. But his is like feathered, and it looks so bad.
First of all, I will say, so I'm actually a big Matthew Vaughn fan. I had high hopes for this. He did not meet my expectations. Actually, I've been a fan of Matthew Vaughn since high school, because in film studies in A-level, we had to like write an essay on, or do a piece of work, I can't remember exactly what it was, on a director of our choice, and we had to write about 3 of their films, and I chose Matthew Vaughn, so I did like Kick-Ass, Kingsman, and X-Men First Class. And
they are great.
These great films.
They're great films. Stardust.
I've never seen Stardust or Layer Cake.
Stardust is underrated. It's great.
Most people don't really like Kingsman 2 very much, although I think we all appreciate there's good moments. I think it's obviously worse than the first one, but I think it's still a pretty good film. And I like the Kingsman as well, as a sort of less funny Kingsman. I did listen to the latest episode of Chris Stuckman's podcast, which he's a guest on, and it's like, wow, this guy is he came from a lot of money and he got a lot of privilege and just got everything handed to him in life. But but he is a great director, I think. My main problem with this film is the fact that he wasted his time making this rather than doing Kingsman 3, and they're trying to do a trilogy and no one wants that, and it's not needed.
Yes, I completely agree. Matthew Vaughn, you don't really know him. If you don't know him, then you don't know him. You wouldn't be able to say name 3 Matthew Vaughn films, because he, other than you, did an essay on it. Yeah,
who did on 3 Matthew Vaughn films? Yeah,
he's got this oeuvre of work that isn't overly coherent. They're kind of similar in vibes, like Kick-Ass and Kingsman and X-Men First Class. So you'd be like, oh, that makes sense. They're all by the same guy. But it's not like, oh, this is a Matthew Vaughn film. I can tell this is a Matthew Vaughn film.
Oh, I think you absolutely can.
Really?
But like, he's just not as famous, maybe, as you can tell it's a Tarantino film. I think he's like, when you see his fight scenes, it's like, this is so Matthew Vaughn. Like, shots that are stitched together in the most obvious way. Like, really bad, like, digi-doubles to combine shots, or like, just... And all of his fight scenes are like, there's no motion blur. They almost look like an animation. Yeah. Very, very wide lens, long shots. A needle drop that worked in previous films and maybe not so much in this one. And a sort of a light-hearted comedic tone throughout, and some rude jokes. No, I think he's very much got a style. And I think that's kind of why, in the past, when he's done things like Kingsman felt fresh. It felt like
Kingsman
he took
felt
the
very
spy
fresh.
genre,
especially
and
our generation. I feel like Kingsman came out, and it was just the biggest thing.
Yeah, I mean, I love Kingsman. I think it's so good. And yeah, it felt fresh because he shot action scenes that way hadn't been done before. That church scene, everyone was talking about it. It's an ultra-violent spy film. Pub scene, yeah. And so when this, I think Argylle is kind of, rather than him being like, okay, I'm going to do something different, I'm going to reinvent a genre, I feel like he's kind of like, okay, well, these things are popular for me. My long fight scenes, my needle drops, my sort of sense of humour, my spy stuff. And so he just did what was popular with him in the past.
Yeah.
He didn't do anything fresh or original. Kingsman's so iconic. There's so many moments. There's, manners maketh man, and the suits and the Eggsy being it. There's loads of really iconic stuff with it. Even down to Samuel L. Jackson's villain, his silly lisp, and the knife feet and just everything. In this, I don't feel like very much was iconic. I won't remember the characters. There's the diamond shape motif is
a diamond
in it a lot.
Yep.
The silly hairstyle, the backpack with the cat in.
Yeah, so interestingly, I would say that
I don't remember the rest.
One of the things that makes Kingsman work so well is that it has something interesting to say, whether that's about class in the UK, because that's a big theme in the film, as well as being a spy film. You're following Eggsy through this new world. He's very much from a council estate joining this high society. So it's a great film with something to say. It's not very deep in what it says, but it has something to say. Argylle has none of that at all. No. So let's talk about the story and how it doesn't do anything new. Argylle is you follow Ellie Conway, who is a writer, and she's predicting all of these world events. So as a log line there, you'd think, well, okay, that sounds really boring, because that's kind of the point, that she's a bad fiction writer, so is writing bad fiction, and you're kind of following that through. What does he do with that to make it unique and interesting and make sure it doesn't just become one of those boring spy films? Yeah. Nothing. He does not.
I don't feel like the Argylle... I don't know what it's called. The spy agency in Argylle is not at all interesting or original. They've just got the man in the chair. They've got the suit wearing or fancy dress wearing spies. It's just Kingsman, but with everything unique and interesting taken out of it.
I thought that she was. I thought they were going to say that she was a bad writer, two-dimensional, unimaginative, but is predicting these events, and she then joins the world. And although she's kind of loosely following the plot, she got most of it wrong. Or there is another layer of depth, or there's something in there that makes it more interesting. But yeah, as you said, it's just bland and
she's not even meant to be a bad writer. We only ever see her be really popular. She's got a huge fan base.
She's like J.K. Rowling without being a TERF.
Yeah,
classic.
Well, she might be. We never know.
True.
What do you think about her as a character then? Because Eggsy, super likable and original and iconic, and we want to see more movies from him. What do you think about Ellie Conway? Because this was very much marketed as this is a Henry Cavill movie with Dua Lipa.
It's not at all.
Because I remember that's what everyone was talking about. It's the new Henry Cavill spy movie when it was announced 2 years ago. And Amar, who was working on it, was I don't know why they all saying this. The leads are Bryce Dallas Howard and
Sam Rockwell.
What's his name? Sam Rockwell. Yeah. He's it's not. He's not really in it very much.
Yeah. I think it's hard, but Matthew Vaughn, it's been written for him. She has no agency in the story, and that's just how it's written. She
works for a spy agency.
No. I mean,
it's not. I don't know what it's called.
I think this is a classic misunderstanding. She does
work for an agent. She's an agent, a secret agent.
She is just dragged along by Sam Rockwell from place to place, and the reason she is brought along is because they want her to write the next chapter to predict where this MacGuffin is.
But when the plot twists are revealed, that doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense. But we'll get to that. So yeah, I didn't like the character. She just kind of
nothing.
moaned. Yeah.
And if they want to do at least a trilogy out of it, I don't
Yeah.
Why would I care? Matthew Vaughn was saying in an interview I saw that this is meant to be like the 4th book, and then he wants to do like 1, 2, and 3 before, like prequels, like Star Wars. It's like, stop! No, don't do that. Make Kingsman 3 or make something new. This is whatever.
Maybe what I didn't like about the character as well. On top of that, I thought Bryce Dallas Howard was so bad in this. I thought she was terrible.
I didn't think she like acted bad. I think she just didn't have like any charisma at all.
Well, if you imagine
the writing,
so before it all gets silly, she is a meek writer from Middle America, who is thrust into this spy world, right? So, all intents and purposes, she's just a normal woman. She does not behave like a normal woman thrown into a spy scenario. I would be pooing myself if I saw this fight scene happening on the train of people trying to kill me, and she's just kind of there going, ooh, like, what are you doing?
I think also I don't like how I mean, it's part of Matthew Vaughn's like really clean, perfect like aesthetic in his movies, but I don't like how she had like perfect hair and makeup, and like she looks like, you know, attractive for, you know, a woman in her 40s. She's very like, I wish it was like a normal looking writer character was just a normal looking person, maybe even a bit older. Like, I don't know, if everyone else around them is like a sort of perfectly put together spy, it'd be quite nice if she looked like... Authors are like behind the... Well, it's not really a camera, but they're you know, they're not meant to be seen in public, apart from when they're doing like talks. So it's sort of... She didn't seem like she was out of place in this world, like, visually, if that makes sense.
But
I think she should have done.
I gave this 2.5 as a little spoiler. A singular star in this is for Sam Rockwell, because I think he steals everything he's in and is very quickly becoming my favourite actor of all time.
I think he's good. Yeah, I mean, his character, I won't remember him.
Not at all. Not at all.
Like, I won't remember him. But yeah, I mean, Sam Rockwell's always good. He makes up for the lack of charisma that Bryce Dallas Howard has.
And the scene on the train, so a couple of the action scenes in this, you have Bryce Dallas Howard watching Sam Rockwell in fight scenes, and he is being swapped out with Henry Cavill. So, like, she's fantasizing the agent Argylle in the place of Sam Rockwell. And oh boy, does Sam Rockwell completely outact Henry Cavill. Like, noticeably.
I think
Sam
that's
Rockwell
kind
is
of the
a much
point,
better
because
actor.
Well, Henry Cavill's meant to be just a fictional character, and he's meant to be more a stereotypical James Bond. I mean, Matthew Vaughn said he cast him because he wanted someone who could easily be James Bond, but just he wanted to snatch him before Bond did. Yeah, I think that's kind of the point that he's... And when he's doing like silly smirks and that, whereas like Sam Rockwell's like screaming and reacting to...
you could say.
Yeah, acting. I think that's kind of the point. Can Henry Cavill act? I mean, I've never seen him do anything apart from one-dimensional heroes. I've only ever seen him as like Superman, and I've seen him as Geralt in like 3 episodes of The Witcher.
I think there's a reason why he hasn't been given anything bigger than, well, anything more complex.
But what characters that are that big and muscular and that have personalities, really?
Look at Dave Bautista. He can act.
The Rock. That's true, yeah, but he deliberately these days is trying to... His agents are really pushing him to do like actual acting.
He's good. Get Henry Cavill to actually act and prove me wrong.
Yeah.
Come on, Henry.
He should do, really, because he doesn't have Superman or Geralt to do anymore.
He doesn't. He's got Warhammer.
God, I forgot about that. That's going to get cancelled after one film.
So there were some fun moments. I did like points of it. I think the first half is a lot stronger, where it's more of a...
Yeah, I agree.
Tracking down a MacGuffin, place to place. You're always on the move. Like, I thought the head stomp bit between them was quite funny.
That was quite good.
A little bonding moment that then comes back at the end.
She's gonna do it.
Catherine O'Hara, always great. She's very funny. Bryan Cranston was a bit of a letdown, really, but I don't think he was given a lot to work with. Yeah, considering
Bryan Cranston, in my opinion, has given the greatest acting performance of all time as Walter White.
As man in this.
He was kind of just nothing.
Yeah, I mean,
but the characters were nothing. It was just when a film is like a setup that it's all about twists. You kind of see the twists. It's a bit like M. Night Shyamalan's films now. Like, you expect a twist, so you can see it coming. Watching The Visit, I never thought for a second that they were the real grandparents. It's sort of, a twist's going to come. And so I kind of got quite sus of.
But this has so many
whole
twists
thing
that you
anyway.
can't predict all the twists.
But you stop caring after a certain amount.
It's like a flump. It's got so many twists. This is the flump of spy films.
Oh, that's very nice. Yeah, in terms of comedy as well, I mean, I didn't really laugh at all.
No, nor did I.
Since we're talking about cast,
Yeah.
Dua Lipa, I can't pretend to know her music. The only song I know is the one that's in Barbie, Dance the Night Away. But I'm sure she's done others that I know, but I don't know. I didn't know she did it. As soon as she spoke, I was like, she is not an actor.
Yeah, oh my god, I thought exactly the same thing. She was like, "Are you the real Agent Argylle? Can you speak normally? Speak like a normal person. Why are you trying to speak
really
sexily? What are you doing?"
But it wasn't sexy. Yeah, 'cause Henry Cavill, I mean, we just said like how he doesn't seem to be amazing. Like, he was very much out acting her, which doesn't say great things about her. And the fact she was all over the marketing and she's in like the first 5 minutes.
Oh god, yeah. This ain't no Kingsman. Go and watch Kingsman. I would not recommend this to anyone.
Did you see all the social media stuff about who possibly wrote this?
No,
I think it's been like disproved. Well, it has been disproved. It definitely was never this person.
it
in
was
the first place.
Tarantino.
No.
No.
So when it was like first announced, they said it's based on a book by a first-time author. Like the book in the movie, they were going to release that first. They possibly did, but it was meant to come out like 2 years ago, and then it got pushed back loads. And they said Matthew Vaughn saying like, "Oh, I read the script and it was genius. It reinvented the whole thing." Basically, there was a TikTok trend, like conspiracy theory, that loads of people bought. That this was written.
Sorry, just to hold you there. A what?
Yeah.
Sorry, I thought you'd never go on TikTok.
No, so I actually found out about this through YouTube.
Oh, okay, all right.
No, I did.
Carry on.
Yeah, I did. But lots of people thought this movie was written by Taylor Swift. I'm not going to lie, the evidence is few and far between, but people are very like on board with the idea that she wrote like a spy movie or wrote a spy book, and because she's Taylor Swift, it got commissioned. Everyone was saying how amazing it is and how perfect she is, and it's not, and she's not. And it's just there's little stupid bits of evidence. I think she like started like Argylle Studios or something like that, and she was wearing that sort of pattern on her clothes, even though it's quite a
she wore a diamond once.
Quite a common pattern. There was more so-called evidence, and people in the comments, whenever they were like talking news about the film, like people said, "Oh, this is so like 1985." What was it called, 1989? Like coded.
Yeah.
People would say like, "Oh, this is so clearly Taylor. Why are you lying? Why?" They thought it was ghostwritten. It's not. The book was
Imagine
written
that
by a
being
woman.
a ghost written by Taylor Swift.
People investigated it. It was ghostwritten by a woman called Tammy Cohen, and then the screenplay was by some other fella. Can't remember his name.
Some other fella who did Ice Age, Continental Drift, and Wonder Woman #1.
Well,
Wow.
at least it wasn't Wonder Woman #2.
Would you recommend people to watch this?
No.
No. Great.
No.
Big question. Who is Agent Argylle? Let's jump into spoilers and take a deep dive.
Agent Argylle? Don't you mean Agent Argylle?
I wanted to pass away. I wanted to simply die.
I didn't mind that. I don't know. I didn't mind it. But what I did dislike is that Argylle anyway is with one L, and then Kyle is with one L. Why did they spell it like this?
Why? Yeah, why? I don't know.
And so that was a thought that went through my head during that scene.
To throw you off. That's why.
I guess so. Yeah. So I didn't hate that, but I obviously could see the name thing. I didn't hate, but I could see the twist that she was the agent coming. Well, ever since the film was announced, to be honest, it wasn't really a twist.
Yeah, no. So
and that's why we were saying about how it doesn't make sense that the baddies, well, and the goodies, are trying to work out what she writes next to predict the future, because we find out that her writings, they were never predicting the future, predicting real events. They were just her real memories. This is the past. So why would she then suddenly become clairvoyant? I guess she could reveal plans to the baddies that they didn't know about, but she doesn't.
Was this next chapter to find out where the bullet is, where the USB is? Because she forgot it. I think that's why they're trying to get her to write one more chapter.
Okay. Yeah, I get that. Okay.
So from the spoilers bit, we'll be talking about the midpoint onwards, because I think that's where it completely falls apart. And what was the midpoint? The French bit with Samuel L. Jackson, whether at the farm, I would say.
Yeah, I'd say that's a midpoint. Yeah, because that's when it reveals who she is.
So that's when Sam Rockwell, he changes gears from being as interesting as he can be, as engaging as he can be, into exposition machine, and not only explains who the villains are, he explains who she is, how she forgot her memory, how they were part of the same team, but then betrayed the villains to become a goodie, what they need to do, why they need to do it, and it feels like it lasts about 40 minutes.
It does.
This scene.
And it's also, he was so much fun in the action scenes, and then he suddenly doesn't do them, and it's just Bryce Dallas Howard now. Well, Bryce Dallas Howard's stunt double. Yeah, it's...
Yeah,
not that it wasn't Sam Rockwell's too.
So, spoilers. What's her name? Ellie Conway is not a writer. She is Agent Argylle, but actually her name is Rachel Kyle. Kyle.
Whoa.
Yeah. And do you know how they
Crazy.
find out? It's because Sam Rockwell throws a punch at her, and she dodges it. So she's like, yeah. I'm Argylle. I wished he punched her in the face. That would have been funny.
But then, how do her memories come back? It's literally just from them telling her.
Yeah.
But why would they all just come back?
So, yeah. Okay, from midpoint, that tells me Ellie Conway as a character is boring and the story does not care about her. Because she almost immediately remembers everything and goes back to being a spy. Like, she's no longer Ellie Conway until the end. For the epilogue.
Totally different character.
Completely different.
And I hated her. I thought she was really bad in the second half. Yeah.
Rachel Kyle was...
No personality, so bland. Such a bland character.
At least Ellie Conway, like, do the bit where she's not the agent anymore. Say that she's gone completely, this Rachel Kyle, and she was like a villain. So she's changed and is now completely positive. She was planning on betraying Sam Rockwell, but that's not her anymore. And then have Ellie Conway having to embrace this world and kind of grow as a character, not change into someone completely different.
Yeah. How did they do it in Men in Black 2 when... Because Kay, like, chooses to forget that he was in Men in Black. He works in a post office.
He does.
And then he comes back to it. But I can't remember how they make him get his memories back. Does Will Smith just tell him? But when I was watching this movie, I was just thinking of Men in Black 2 the whole time.
So that was a twist. Then there was a second twist that she double-crossed the goodies. She double-crossed the goodies and gets herself blown up and then wakes up in the hospital and gets brainwashed by Catherine O'Hara and Bryan Cranston to become Ellie Conway, which Sam Rockwell doesn't help with. He just watches her for 5 years.
Yeah, why don't the goodies just kidnap her and be like, yes, so you're actually not this?
Why did they wait for her to write
they just watch
4 books?
Yeah.
Why? I don't get it. I don't.
And they would never
understand.
know that she was going to write the books anyway.
It's so contrived.
And it's so against their revealing all their secrets. Like, they don't want that.
No,
it makes literally no sense why they just would let that happen.
Yeah.
I mean, do you think maybe they thought, oh well, she would just die in action. She's our friend. We'll let her retire in peace.
But then even the villains, why would they let her write a book about all of their inner workings?
I guess because she might reveal other secrets that they want to know. But yeah, she's going to reveal stuff about the baddies to the goodies too.
Even to the public. When it comes out that it's all real, what? It just doesn't make any sense.
No, it didn't.
And then there was a twist that Rachel Kyle and Sam Rockwell were actually together. That's another shocking twist. Another twist is that she was actually helping the baddies, didn't double-cross the baddies. And then the other twist is that she was actually helping the goodies the whole time. Yeah. So she, quadruple crossed them.
My brain just switched off during this whole bit. Because it's on the boat. It was just I'm a goodie, I'm a baddie, I'm a goodie, I'm a baddie. I'm like, can just wake me up when we find out what she actually is.
And then Catherine O'Hara can also mind control her using a music box that comes up for a scene. What?
Yeah.
And we get a character that comes back from the dead.
And she resists it anyway, so it doesn't... Oh my god. Yeah, I mean, because the first time that Matthew Vaughn brought a character back from getting shot in the head, that went down so well with audiences. Ariana DeBose gets shot in the heart, I wonder what's going to happen to her. There's no stakes if you don't follow through with stuff.
Oh, you get the flashback.
Ariana DeBose is pretty famous now. That was a very small role, but I guess because they wanted for the sequels. The sequels which are not getting made.
So when it's revealed that she is Argylle, whereas before you see these set pieces from Henry Cavill's, with Henry Cavill in them, and then you get flashbacks.
Henry Cavill and Sam Rockwell.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you see the hacker lady getting shot in the heart, and you see that with Henry Cavill, and you see that with Bryce Dallas Howard. Fine.
Yeah.
You see them at the cafe with Dua Lipa, with Henry Cavill, and with Bryce Dallas Howard. Why don't you see Bryce Dallas Howard driving a Jeep over rooftops, which is supposed to be real life? Does that not happen?
No,
At what point is that real? Is that not real? You don't see her like
that was meant to have happened, but I don't think we see it. We see them sitting at the like cafe at the end of that sequence.
So, but then you don't see like these silly bits, which are very clearly written as over the top fictional. How do we parody James Bond?
Yeah.
So what, that actually happened? You're telling me that happened in this real life world that they're in?
I found it confusing how like so Sam Rockwell is actually meant to be John Cena, not Henry Cavill.
Yeah.
But then he's still in the final act. He's still dressed like Henry Cavill. He's got his hair like Henry Cavill. And then Bryce Dallas Howard is dressed like Dua Lipa, but she's actually Henry Cavill.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, I get that she thought that she was... Well, she didn't think she was Dua Lipa.
She thought she was Pua Lipa.
She knows at this point that she's Henry Cavill, and Sam Rockwell has always known that he's John Cena. So why is he dressing like his friend in the fictional version of his friend rather than dressing like himself?
Yeah. And it's not even, like, it's not mentioned. It's not like, well, I'm trying to take on the hero role, so I'm dressing like your favourite character. Although
I guess... Anyway, they're inspired by Henry Cavill because at the end it's revealed that Henry Cavill was a real person anyway.
I got flashbacks to, is it Terminator 2? You know, the deleted post-credits where they're like, they explain how the T-800 has got Arnold's body. And it's like this one shot of Arnold in an army uniform speaking with a southern accent. And he's like Sergeant Candy or something, saying that he's getting body scanned to turn into a T-800. I
don't mind that as a piece of lore, but it's just if it's not got a place in the story, which it clearly doesn't, then it doesn't need to be mentioned.
Yeah, what is it with doing these southern accents?
I could see a Terminator film being like the real guy who he was based on.
Yeah, get Henry Cavill for Terminator. He'd be good. He's dead behind the eyes.
Yeah, he probably could be an alright new Terminator.
Yeah,
because he's quite old now. They just have to CGI him. And that's a twist.
There is a post-credits in this for the Argylle CU, the ACU, which I know we both got tattooed before this came out and regret it now it's happened. Which features a young British lad going into a British pub at some point in the past, and he says, "Hello, sir, could I have a Cosmopolitan?" And the bartender looks at him and is like, "You cannot get them here." And he then does a code word and gets handed a gun. And then the bartender's like, "What's your name?" And he says, "My name is Argylle," I think. I think that's what he says. Okay. And then it says, "This will be our next film," and it's actually book 1 in Argylle, but it's actually Kingsman, because the pub's called the Kingsman.
The pub's called the Kingsman, yeah. I heard it was like, it shows they're set in the same universe.
Who cares?
Well, look, I'm all for doing a Kingsman franchise, but can we please have more Kingsman films in it and less Argylle films? But it doesn't matter because it's never going to happen. They're not getting a sequel.
No,
How much is made at the box office? I mean, it only came out a few days ago, but
I think million people.
I don't think anyone's watched it. It's got. Well, I put on a poll on YouTube. I should probably have waited a few more days, but like, what did you think of Argylle? And everyone who isn't us has voted didn't see it. And there are people who did see it are not giving it good reviews. It's not getting a sequel.
No.
And that's a good thing.
I don't know if this wound you up as much as it did me. When John Cena and Henry Cavill were in London, so this is happening while Sam Rockwell and Bryce Dallas Howard are sat at the bench at the Albert Memorial. And Henry Cavill and John Cena get into a black car, don't they, and start hacking.
Yeah.
That's just a unit car. They didn't even try and hide that. It's just a big Mercedes unit car. And I'm like, what are you doing? That's so bad.
Something I thought was really weird. I noticed it right at the start, and then I was like, okay, but I guess that was a dream, so it doesn't matter. And then it carried on throughout the whole movie. It's like they had no budget for essays. Everywhere is like huge public spaces. No one's there.
Yeah. Even the unit car bit, it's an empty street in the middle of London.
Yeah, London is like just empty. I mean, I first noticed, I was like, this is really weird. In Greece, in the opening, like, well, first of all, that party was dead as fuck. There was no one in there. But then they were going down the streets, and there was not a single pedestrian, not a single, like, there was some parked cars, no other cars on the road. It's like, what is happening here? This is a beautiful place. This would be a huge tourist attraction, let alone like locals. There was no one there. Then it was like, okay, well, this is fictional. Guess it doesn't matter too much.
That's because it's all shot in a studio in the UK. That's why.
Well, yeah, and it's all blue screen and
all
stuff.
Blue screen.
But you could put CGI. They could put some Sims in. And then London. It's just dead streets. It just reminded me of like when you watch like old Doctor Who's and they like lock off some streets, but they can't afford any extras, and so it's just empty.
It's just such a long film.
That final like ice skating bit, like what the hell was that?
It went on for so long.
Can you skate on like
crude oil?
Oil, yes, yeah. So can you skate? So it was like a concrete, or like, well, it was on a ship, so I guess it was like a metal floor with a layer of oil. Can you attach 2 knives to your feet somehow?
Yeah, just
and then
put knives on
she
your
just
feet.
puts them there, and they're just suddenly perfect ice skates.
Yeah.
And then she glides across liquid over a metal floor. What the hell? Like, that doesn't make any sense. I mean, I get that you can have scenes be a little bit more heightened, but that's just like
silly.
It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. That's just ridiculous.
And do you know what else wound me up? Talking about silly, a lot of the marketing in this is based on the cat in the bag, right?
Oh my God.
Don't let the cat out of the bag. It has no relevance to the plot at all.
The cat doesn't do anything.
I
thought he'd be like a sort of goose character in Captain Marvel.
Or like
He'd have some funny little moments.
It has the microchip up its bum or something. Like, like she subconsciously had a cat and put it in the cat.
Orion's. What's on Orion's belt and Orion's name of the cat, and it's on his. Yeah, like there's none of that at all. Yeah,
it's just there.
The cat does not need to be in it. But I thought they'd have some comic relief. Maybe some bits were meant to be funny with him, but it wasn't. It was just a bland cat who did nothing. He just sat there the whole movie. I gave it 2 stars. Yeah, really, I didn't like it. I was really let down. I mean, even when it was announced, I was a bit like, oh, fuck's sake, just doing more Kingsman films, don't do this. But it looked like it could be promising, and the names attached, I was like, okay, this could be good. Yeah. Unfortunately,
Swing and a miss.
It really wasn't good.
Swing and a miss. Gave it 2.5. It has some interesting set pieces. Sam Rockwell is great when he's not doing exposition, but it's way too long, way too contrived, and at least the middle 40 minutes is just exposition. Lazy, very lazy.